Hello and welcome to episode 153 of PubShorts called Moving On Up. I think it'll be one of the most popular songs that we have selected. It's from the 1980s. Tony will explain as to why we have selected that song. And my name is Dr. KK, Innovation Officer at Trinka. And Tony will also explain who he is and why you should watch PubShorts. Hi, Tony.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to PubShorts. I'm Tony O'Rourke. I'm VP for Partnerships here at Inago, and this is KK and I's regular conversation around stories affecting the world of academic publishing and academic research. And we give every episode a theme, and we like to name it after it. We link that theme to a song, and this week's episode is no different. This week's episode is after the, I think it was early '90s rather than late '80s song, "Moving On Up" by M People.
Oh, nine. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's the story. The episode is about how publishing is moving on up, moving forwards from research integrity systems and editorial offices, evolving into global infrastructure, into new AI discovery tools, and shifts in AI funding models. So, as you know, the AI. The publishing industry is evolving, moving on up, and this is what we're going to talk about.
Right. And the first story we have from the Scholarly, it's on a guest post titled Reimagining Scholarly Integrity, the Continuum Consensus Quality Control System. That's a mouthful, but we'll explain why the author chose it. So the author of the article proposed a new quality control system for scholarly publishing called the Continuum of Consensus. And this system aims to address the failures of traditional peer review in the digital age, especially with the rise of paper mills and AI-generated content. So this is abbreviated as COC, the Continuum of Consensus. The COC system has three main pillars. The first is distributed expert validation, which is DEV. Let me just go there. Yeah, this is distributed expert validation, where a large pool of experts rapidly assesses submissions and based on specific criteria. And this differs from traditional review by using more reviewers and a different scoring system. And the second pillar, which is coming up soon, is the adaptive peer community refinement, which is APCR. And this is an ongoing process where the community engages with the manuscript, offers critiques, and can even attempt to reproduce the research. Authors can respond and revise, making the publication a living document, which again refers to about a couple of dozen conversations that we have had about the industry needing to move from the static PDF to something more. And the third pillar is algorithmic integrity oversight. Fun names, AIO. And this uses AI to monitor for conflicts of interest, detect paper mills or AI generated content, and to prevent collusion among validators. And it acts as a digital immune system. Wow, what comparisons. The system uses transparent reputation system, which is TRS, and validation tokens. Validators can earn reputation by being accurate, and this reputation influences the weighting of their scores. And these tokens could potentially offset the cost or be used for career advancement. So, in a nutshell, the COC aims to create a more dynamic and reliable system than traditional peer review, which is seen as a static and easily gameable system. And this COC also emphasizes continuous evaluation and community involvement to maintain scholarly integrity. And Tony, you may not be surprised when I say that I love some of these ideas, but I want to know what your ideas are, what your thoughts are as well.
Ultimately, no. I mean, I there's so much of this. There's lots of this blows my mind because basically there are so many more intelligent people than me out there that can bring these ideas together into one place. This is the sort of story that I think, if it's applied, that these techniques, if applied properly, will help publishers to firm up that kind of their integrity structures within their organizations, within their publishing processes. So no, I think this is a very good article from a very bright person, and I encourage everyone to read it.
Yeah, I want to specifically point as in question you regarding the algorithmic integrity oversight. It sounds like some of these screening things, but with sort of like an agent sort of going through published papers to scan for paper mill as well. I mean, this is very similar to what we are working with publishers regarding manuscript screening, which is you can consider it static. Inago Reports offers a bunch of different types of checks, including research integrity screening. So, in your conversations with publishers, what are, let's say, do they want this sort of a agentic system that is constantly like a sentinel looking over their entire publishing catalog?
Do they want it?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Do they need it? It's more likely the answer. The unfortunate reality is, as the volumes increase, submission volumes increase, so there's the amount of time publishers potentially spend in screening that content. So anything that can, screen that content quickly, accurately, reliably, and provide some kind of I won't say peer review decision, but some support to the peer review process is good. I mean, one of the things I will say that one of the things that it talks about is the value of reviewing by a larger group of people.
Yeah.
Well, collaborative
Community.
peer review has
Yeah.
been in existence for a while. That's not necessarily a new thing, but what this does, it gives the framework to be able to broaden that and to introduce that more easily.
Right. All right, moving on to the next story, we have another scholarly kitchen guest post titled The Evolution of the Editorial Office from Kitchen Tables to Global Infrastructure. Honestly, I did not know the first part, but obviously our lives are always learning sort of journeys, and we know that editorial offices started in the kitchens. So for much of the 20th century, Tony, editorial work was handled informally, often by academics, their spouses or students, without standardized processes or institutional memory. I mean, I'll ask you whether you agree with all of these statements, and it's a long article. The late 90s and early 2000s saw a digital break, and this is what we're talking about here, with the introduction of online submission systems, enabling editorial offices to operate independently of physical university locations. And this shift led to the rise of professional editorial services companies, often founded by women, which professionalized peer review management, created career paths, and established industry best practices. And then we move on to open access, mega journals, and globalization, which further complicated workflows, leading to specialized roles and more layered division of labor within the editorial offices. And technologies such as ORCID and Similarity Check, which is a plagiarism authenticate check, became crucial infrastructure, turning editorial offices into frontline research, frontline sort of I guess centers for research integrity and accountability enforcement. And the industry is now moving towards end-to-end author-centric workflows, utilizing AI to streamline routine tasks, while evaluating human expertise in critical areas like judgment and integrity. That's the last thing. And the evolution highlights the journey from a cottage industry to a global system, as is the last heading here, essential for maintaining trust in science through continuity and shared standards. I think these two articles are both sort of talking the same thing, but this is the editorial office growth perspective. So let me ask you, I mean, in all the time that you've been with the academic publishing industry, have you seen all these steps? Have you worked with all the different stages of editorial office, and what are your thoughts on the article itself?
I'm probably not the best person to ask that question. Yes, of course, I've seen how editorial organisations, how the editorial offices grown.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you look at some of the world's largest journals, particularly in areas like medicine, for example. The actual editorial isn't necessarily just managed. The editorial process isn't managed by in-house publishing staff. It's managed by very often managed by third parties, and who do an excellent job because they're former editors-in-chief or editors or very experienced publishers in their own right. So it doesn't surprise me that the editorial office has been so dominant. I mean, and there has been a shift away from the academic editorial office, from the editorial office in the university, to one that's located within the publisher. The question then is it physically within the building of the publisher? Is it remote by publisher staff, or is it remote by some third-party organisation? And it's probably I've never seen the statistics. There's probably quite an even split between those three.
Right.
So no, it doesn't surprise me at all.
And in terms of editorial services provision, that, I mean, Inago provides some editorial services as well. So do you think there is increasing need for, let's say, additional layers, including research integrity screening, and maybe even other roles, maybe even peer review, in the context of supporting publishers with this? I mean,
absolutely. I think any organisation like ours evolves as the publishers, but hopefully is there one step before the publisher in terms of we have ready-made solutions that we can go in and talk to them about.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas 20 years ago, excuse me, the engagement with the publisher might have been, okay, give us your content, we'll edit it and we'll send it back to you. Today it's more about, okay, well, we can help you with the peer review, we can help you screen their content, we can help you make sure that the paper is as good as it can be, we can help you identify any hallucinated references in terms of managing your integrity process, etc., etc. We can help train your authors. We can help train your editors where needed. We can provide AI-based editing services as well, if that is your requirement, and we can train those to replicate and to look and feel like your own editors as well. So there's a potential to save money or save time, at least, if not necessarily just money. So yeah, the services that organizations like us provide have to evolve.
Right.
Can't afford to remain static.
And if somebody from a big publisher is watching this and they need such services, where can they find more information about Inago's editorial office run
Well,
your
I'm
research?
I'm I'm all over LinkedIn, so just you can contact me at LinkedIn, or you can contact me directly at tonio@inago.com.
Right, and one of those might be somebody from Wiley because they have. I mean, that could be a chance because I'm segueing to a Wiley story. So the next one is the Wiley announcement covered in research information titled "Wiley launches ATIPON AI suite to enhance research discovery." I mean, at the R2R conference, Tony, I had a brief conversation with somebody from Wiley about this as well. So in a nutshell, this has been launched, and the suite is integrated into the ATIPON experience platform, and the primary goal is to help researchers navigate scholarly literature more efficiently, and it addresses the growing challenge of finding relevant content, understanding specialized material, and prioritizing reading. The AI tools are embedded directly into the established on platform environments, and it allows users to sort of work within these trusted sources. The suite debuts with two key features: the AI Companion and AI Summaries. And the Companion allows researchers to interact with content. They can ask questions and clarify concepts while reading without leaving the authoritative source itself. And AI Summaries obviously offers structured overviews, including one sentence layperson summaries as well. So, I mean, the industry is generally moving toward it, but I'm sort of Wiley has been sort of the leader in the AI plus publishers scene, and it obviously would not be surprising for you. But do you have any additional thoughts on this?
My only thoughts really is how clever Wiley have been over the last 10, 15 years. Really made some very insightful acquisitions. So Atipon, the company that we're talking about here, was until I can't remember, probably the mid teens. I can't remember when they were acquired. Was an independent provider, a journal hosting platform.
Yeah.
Its job was to help publishers to disseminate scholarly content, and they were acquired by by Wiley some years ago. And at the time, so there was a kind of question mark as to why has a publisher committed to buying its journal platform? Okay, there may be some internal cost savings in terms of having it rather than having its own platform. But what they've effectively done is they've bought technology, they've bought expertise, they've bought an understanding, they've bought somebody who are technologists rather than just publishers, who can actually translate the ideas of the future into real products. And this is what we're seeing. And this is, I think, why Wiley is so far ahead. Has got a number of very bright, very astute, very clever technologists thinking about how technology can be used effectively. So it's another good. So it's not. And you're absolutely right. AI publisher. So again, Wiley have been leading the way, I think, in terms of setting the gold standard
Right.
for the use of AI.
Somebody who has also been another publisher who's been setting gold standards is Elsevier. So we are moving on to the next story, which is
absolutely.
which is actually an interesting sort of take on Elsevier's Leap Space, which we covered a couple of episodes ago. And this is titled "Journal Giant Elsevier Unveiled an AI Tool That Scans Millions of Paywall Papers, but Is It Worth It?" So this is about Leap Space, and so Leap Space has access to a massive collection of paywall content, as in we discussed this. A lot of publishers and societies have joined, and this could give users a more comprehensive overview, Tony, but it comes with a significant price tag. That's one point that the author of the article talks about. The users need subscriptions to LeapSpace itself, apart from obviously the if they to obviously access the AI features. But if suppose they want to dig in deeper into the actual content which is behind the paywall, they need access to that as well. So that's a separate thing altogether. Now, this is like an analogy is for that is made is like having different streaming services. So sometimes you have a streaming aggregators as well. So it's similar concept. But now some experts are skeptical, pointing out that even Elsevier and its partners only represent a portion of all published research. So whoever has agreed for their articles to be licensed, to be sort of as a sort of source for this AI layer, so that those will be sort of accessed and through this as this LeapSpace is the interface to access those, right? Now, what about all the other research? So if suppose a researcher asks a question to LeapSpace, it has access to these articles, maybe not the rest of the articles which are behind paywall content. So would the answers be biased? And hence, if you're using a tool like this, should you have more coverage, maybe using just open access material, avoiding paywall content, rather than have a subset of the paywall content? So these are the questions that the article asks, and hence questions whether the tool's accuracy would be high. So this is the arguments or the questions that the author poses. What are your thoughts on such a tool, and the moves that I guess Elsevier has made in terms of having such a tool with access to many publishers as paywall content?
Well, again, I've spoken about this before. I think, like Wiley, been leading the way in terms of setting the scene for AI and the use of AI in publishing. I think Elsevier have also been very, very canny over the last 10, 15 years in terms of creating content workflow tools effectively. I mean, I think back when they launched the clinical key products 13, 14 years ago. And that wasn't just, here's access to Elsevier's medical content, but here are diagnostic tools. Here are tools that you can use as a practicing medical practitioner on a daily basis to help you in your decision-making process. These are decision support tools that we can deliver. But these things come at a cost. These things have to be developed. There's millions of dollars of investment going behind this. It is a commercial organization as well. I think it's absolutely right to want to levy a charge. But say also, I do disagree with the author in terms of if it's limited only to open access papers, then fair enough. You've got nice big, but it's still only a fraction of the market. It's still only a fraction of the content. That comment only really stands up once the entire market, once the entire academic literature is in some kind of utopian world where it's completely free for everybody. And unfortunately, that's never going to happen. At least not I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. So there has to be some measure of control. But if you're a big research organization, if you're a big university, if you're even a medium-sized university, part of a consortium, a large medical group, the likelihood is you're going to have access to the content you need. What you want to be able to do is to interrogate that content more intelligently than you are.
Right.
This is what tools like this will help you do.
Excellent point. Now moving on to the last main story that we have. It is about the Chinese Academy of Sciences, CAS, but the announcement that it is to stop funding expensive OA journals, open access journals. So it is CAS is planning to stop funding article processing charges for many expensive international open access journals. This is according to a report in Science, and this is in Research Information. The policy is expected to start on the 1st of March, as of this recording, like a couple of days ago. And CAS is the world's largest research institution with over 50,000 researchers, and experts believe this move aims to control rising publishing costs, and it might also be a way to boost domestic Chinese journals. That's another angle. So some examples provided are journals like Nature, Communication, Cell Reports, and Science Advances are mentioned. So they have very large APCs, like $5,000 per paper, and the global average is approximately 2,000. So these are expensive, especially for a researcher from the global south, but maybe somebody from India, where you may not have funding. So when CAS has withdrawn sort of support, that is challenging. So the internal messages in CAS shared with Science suggest that CAS scientists will be prohibited from using academy funds for APCs in over 30 specific journals that exceed a cost threshold. So this is an interesting development. What do you think? I mean, there are more and more reasons why, so that the axis of research is sort of shifting towards the east with China, and these are sort of counterbalancing measures where lots of funding coming from China and moving out of the US, and even now journals and APCs and everything. Would we see 20 years down the line a lot of big journals and publishers moving their operations to China so that we can do such? I mean, they can operate within the specifications of China CAS, for example. What are your thoughts?
I don't think moving to China is necessarily going to be the answer to that, because they'll still have their revenue expectations and their fees. I mean, what this highlights is that I think there are very few organizations in the world that can directly influence sort of pricing decisions for services like APCs, for example. I think if an organization like CAS, which is the largest research organization, if I'm correct, in China, and therefore going to be one of the largest overall providers of academic content to scientific journals, is saying we're not going to pay your fees, and an increasing number of their papers are being accepted for publication, then publishers will think twice about will have to think twice, but whether they want to carry out papers, and of course many times they will, because there's some excellent research coming out of China, and B, how they position it. I mean, also I think what this does is it kind of feeds into the argument that there should be more movements towards transformative agreements, so that kind of the individual APC becomes kind of irrelevant. What's most relevant is what is the overall cost for CAS as an organization to access those journals that it needs to read, needs to publish in, and needs to be able to share.
Right, and we are at the end of main stories. With your permission, moving on to quick hits, Tony.
Mhm.
That'd be okay. Okay.
Do it.
The first one, Get FTR, welcoming free tiered publishing participants and new integrations across leading research tools. So we have
You love Get FTR.
yes, because you've seen Get FTR stories in the first. This in itself had a lot of Get FTR signals. If you remember, Tony, this is a Get FTR
I
signal.
do.
Yeah,
I do.
right. So Get FTR is really cool, and, and that's why we talk about it. So new publishers have joined it, and AP has expanded its participation with Get FTR, and there are new tools which are directly integrated. Cypress, which was not aware of, and the CAS Biofinder discovery platform. So more and more tools are. I mean, I'm happy that Get FTR, which in my opinion is one of the best tools. You can install a plugin. I mean, use it as a plugin on your Firefoxes or Google Chromes. I mean, I encourage everybody to use it. Any thoughts on how Get FTR is becoming more and more popular?
No, you're a one-man advertisement for Get FTR. It's KK. I can say no more apart from it. It's a very, very useful tool.
Yeah, maybe
Again, we've been talking in an earlier episode about semantic enrichment. This is another really good example of how the practical use of good semantic enrichment.
Right. Another story from research and from STMpublishing.com. New infrastructure option to support sustainable, affordable open research from JISC UK. So news from the UK. So JISC has introduced new licensing framework for open infrastructure solutions, and it is aimed at helping UK institutions adopt cost-effective, collaborative, and sustainable research alternatives, and it promotes open infrastructure as a viable option alongside with other vendors and solutions. Quick thoughts? Nothing big.
In the UK, if you're a university, you have to listen to what JISC is coming out with. JISC, which is the Joint Information Systems Committee, I think. Basically, JISC is the IT arm for UK universities. They've been responsible for the implementation of technology in universities, and they've also been responsible for their contract negotiations and licensing content on behalf of universities. They are an extremely important organization over here. So if you're a UK university, then you'll be all over this, and you'll be looking at ways you can actually improve your infrastructure in order to be able to offer sustainable, affordable open research. And they are committed to open research.
Right, moving on to the second last story. Tony, this is, I don't know what your perspective is, but our favorite Mark Carden, who's run R2R for so many years, has transferred the responsibility to somebody else, Tiberius Ignat, and that was
Has
a big,
he?
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, this
Gosh,
was a big
Tiberius.
announcement, and I mean, I spent a lot of time with both of these gentlemen. Very fun individual. Apparently, Tiberius has worked with Inago in the past. I don't remember.
Yes, he has. Yeah, I introduced him to Inago.
Right. So I think. So what are your thoughts? So R2R is now moving. Mark is retiring, and R2R is moving with SKS Technologies, as far as I remember. SKS Knowledge Services, or SKS Knowledge Services, as well as Tiberius will take over, and he hopes to expand the sort of the scope of the meeting and have more participants representing across the world. What are your thoughts? I mean, any thoughts on the previous experience that you had with Mark at R2R?
Other conferences are available, of course, but I have a soft spot for R2R, having been to their conference many times, and having been to the version of the conference it was before it became R2R, before Mark took it over. No, it's one of a number of very, very important, useful conferences. The thing that makes it different from other conferences I've been to, academic conferences I've been to, is that it has a much more inclusive sort of policy, really, in terms of it encourages not just publishers and publishing services companies to participate, but has a really quite good engagement with the university sector, which you don't often see. And it's one of the few meetings in the UK where you see there's the academic and the publishing community sort of coming together. So Tiberius SKS is a long sort of standing business in the academics of content dissemination world, and I think the conference is in very good hands with Tiberius. Very bright man.
Excellent. Moving on to our last story. White House stalls release of approved U.S. science budget. So this is the White House Office of Management and Budget is delaying release of congressionally approved science budgets to agencies like the NIH, NSF, and NASA. This despite the Congress rejecting the proposed cuts. And the OMB has changed rules to restrict these agencies to spending only on essential items, a departure from historical practice. This has significantly slowed down the awarding of research grants with the NIH and NSF. seeing a sharp decrease in new awards due to these delays and the recent government shutdown. So this is another sort of example as to how things are becoming so much more difficult in the US and in the West, to be fair, whereas things are being more easy for researchers to conduct research. Any closing thoughts before we wrap up the episode?
No, nothing particularly. I just hope things start to balance out more in the US.
Right, and if you need to know how to balance things out, we have 152 episodes for you to listen to and to have a balanced perspective. And Tony will tell you how and why.
Sure. So, where have you been? If you've missed all previous 152 episodes of PubShorts, now is your opportunity. Have a weekend to yourself to watch all previous 152 episodes, which you can view over on our PubShorts playlist on YouTube. Just search for Inago PubShorts, and all those episodes will be available to you. We encourage you to press the like button, share that content with your colleagues, and also to leave comments. We'd like to hear from you.
Right. Before we leave everyone, Tony. I mean, Tony, thank you for taking that wonderful photograph, which is now. I mean, Tony, would you explain what you did in terms of you took a photograph of the
The
famous?
viral photograph.
Yeah.
Yes. So, as those of you watching the previous episode will know, KK attended the Researchers to Reader conference in London, and I met with KK actually for the first time face to face. We hadn't met physically before, and I gave KK a short walking tour of central London, including the location of where the band Oasis photographed the front cover of their album "What's the Story, Morning Glory," which is Berwick Street in Soho in London. And I took a photograph of KK emulating the person, the model in that particular on that particular album cover, which apparently has had a lot of likes on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and
Yeah,
those places.
yeah. Thank you for that. And any interesting gig experiences? I hear that you've been to a great gig.
I always go to great gigs, but I went to a very good gig recently from a band who I've loved for years called the Big Big Train, who are an English prog band in a small venue in a town called Southampton in the south of England. Only about 400 people there, but it was a wonderful, wonderful little venue. Great audio. But the highlight for me was the band that supported them was a band called Solstice, who were fantastic, absolutely incredible musically and engaging with the audience. So I'm going to explore their music a lot more.
Right, and until the next time, and Tony will share more of his musical, I don't know, detours and experience.
Thank you for your interest.
Well, until the next time, this is Dr. KK signing off for Tony as well as the team that helps us support, bring that content to you. We will see you in the next one. Bye, Tony.
No, it's all right.
Bye, Tony.
See you in the next one.